Hello and welcome to our program. A formidable scholar of Vedanta, a master educator, and a Vedic Astrology guru. Well, these are just some of the terms used to refer to our guest on the show today. Please welcome Dr. David Frawley. Dr. Frawley, welcome to our program.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for this wonderful introduction. I'm very happy to be with you on this wonderful morning.
And we're delighted to have you with us. You've been referred to as an Indian in an American body.
Yes.
So this Indian in the American body, when did it start conversing with you?
I think it was always conversing with me, perhaps even as a child. I always had a kind of inner voice, a kind of mystical vision, connection with nature, being able to kind of look out and merge into the sky, feeling some presence. And I remember very specifically taking a hike on a mountain near where I lived in Denver, Colorado at the time. And when I got to the top of the mountain with a friend of mine, I had this feeling that I was somehow eternal or immortal, and I had had many lives. So I told this to my friend. I was maybe 16, 18 years old at the time, and he thought I was a bit strange. But I had those feelings. And what happened was, when I came in contact with the Vedic and Vedantic text and with yoga, then these things unfolded very naturally to me. They were rather simple and easy to understand. In fact, even in my late teens, I remember telling people that the Upanishads made more sense to me than the mall. I couldn't figure out what the mall was like, why people went there, what attracted to them. But I could feel that essence of the Vedic teachings and that connection with nature, sense of higher self, sense of deeper consciousness, sense of unity. I felt that should be very natural.
So when these realizations came to you and you felt a pull,
Yes.
then what did you think that you were supposed to do or meant to do? Because it's something we keep searching for our whole lives.
Yes, well, it was a search all along. But fortunately at that time there was access to certain Vedic and yogic teachings. There was the Paramahansa Yogananda's teachings, which I found right away. And when I started doing the mantras and the pranayams, then certain things started happening. There were many other groups there, but I was more connected to something Indian than American. And this drew me through the teachings of Sri Aurobindo, also through Ramana Maharshi. Then I started looking at things like Upanishads and things, and they gradually unfolded and spoke to me, had a vision for me. And I just followed it out. It was just my interest, and over time it developed into certain teachings and studies and programs. But there was never a plan, never a strategy, never an idea that I would take this and do something, except I loved to write. So the writing was always there, and either for personally or for other reasons, I was always writing.
So writing for you, was it about wanting to share what you had, or was it about also reflecting on the process that you were going through?
It was wanting to share. It was also letting the teachings kind of speak through me or in me. It was the also marking a certain path of inner search and contemplation. But again, I followed a certain Shakti or inspiration. I really didn't say, I'm going here, I'm doing this, but as a way of deepening the knowledge. I also tried to memorize things quite a bit, the main mantras, the main principles, and then also begin to share, begin to make sense, and use them as a point of integration for my life experience, for my study of I studied the philosophies, the religions, the sciences of the world as a point of bringing them together in a higher focus.
And you studied Sanskrit, the original language that they were written in.
Yes, I eventually moved on to Sanskrit, and in Sanskrit I did something very strange. And I started out with Rig Veda itself. I didn't start out with classical. I had studied some Upanishads, some Advaita text, but it was Rig Veda that was my main interest because of the antiquity. And I was always interested in things very ancient, where we came from, what is our foundation as a culture, a civilization, a species. And I had always felt that the ancient teachings had a mystery for us. Not only India, but for example, Egypt. When I was a child, we had a class on ancient Egypt, and I memorized all the pharaohs of Egypt. And I sensed there was a spiritual essence in the pyramids, that there was something more and some eternal message of life. And that I also found in the Vedic teachings, particularly Rig Veda, originally through Aurobindo's work, but then going to the text itself, that there is this deeper yogic foundation to humanity and to the purpose of our lives. We're here to bring a deeper consciousness into the world, to connect with the greater universe. It's not just about business and money and politics and all of that, however important they are.
So in today's context, when you contextualize what you know,
Yes.
what you believe,
Yes.
a lot of what you believe you also don't know because it's surfacing, and you put it in today's context
Yes.
where the reality is so different.
Yes.
How do you bridge this?
Well, the reality is different in some ways, but with the global communication, different cultures, different religions, we're being open to new ideas, we're taking a new vision of traditional cultures, indigenous people. We have a sense of ecology. There are new developments in physics and medicine. We do see the relevance of these teachings. It's very interesting to note that the same Vedic teachings that were often looked upon as primitive in India, in the West, have been at the forefront of most of the developments, or many of the developments in science, in spirituality, in art, and we find a great interest. In fact, Vedic is considered to be very progressive in the West, as my friend Deepak Chopra has also shown. The Vedic knowledge has a vision of the future. It's relevant to people's everyday life. Ayurveda teaches us how to live in harmony with our individual constitution, with the nature around us. So we see these teachings not only from the ancient past, we see them coming through the future and linking us together in this eternal cycle of time.
You spoke of Vedic traditions, you spoke of Ayurveda.
Yes.
Before we move on to recognition of these outside,
Yes.
recognition of these even within the country is severely limited, you know.
It is, but since they have been recognized outside of India, they've gained more popularity here. In fact, some years ago, I was on a panel of was medicine and yoga and medicine, and there were like 9 Indian medical doctors, and I was the only representative of Ayurveda. And someone from the audience remarked that in India, we only value something once it's been re-imported.
So when we talk of India, of course, we're a multicultural, multi-religious society.
Yes.
And you wanted to move into Vedic studies.
Yes,
You decided to become a Hindu.
yes.
How important was that to pursue what you wanted to do?
Well, first of all, what I discovered is that I basically was a Hindu. I did the rituals, I did the mantras, I did the pilgrimage, you know, and people ask me, well, what is your religion? That's basically what I do. It wasn't becoming something, it was recognizing this is the fact, what I was doing, and also understanding the Vedantic philosophy and the Sanatana Dharma, and the idea that, you know, there's only one humanity. The universe is one, consciousness is one. So there's only one spiritual, vast spiritual teaching that we have. And boundaries, like national boundaries, aren't real. I mean, we put up a fence, we put up a barrier, but there's not like a giant mountain or a giant river there blocking everybody. So there is a greater unity, and there is a deeper universal approach, and it's that universal approach in the Vedic teachings that is the most interesting. And also, if we look at ancient cultures throughout the world, we find many similar practices as we find in Vedic teachings, whether it's the fire, sacred fire, sacred plants, whether it's the standing stones, whether it is the worship of the use of temples, whether it's yoga practices. So they're part of our common humanity, and I think they're a part of our common humanity that deserves greater attention.
Do you feel that currently, with the internet coming in, with knowledge becoming more evenly spaced out and easily accessible,
Yes.
do you feel that religion is now moving away from being more exclusive
Yes.
to being more inclusive?
Well, I think we're moving from religion as an exclusive entity to, at a collective level, to what I would say is individual spiritual experience. How
Okay.
can we, not so much what God is or what the divine is from a creedal level or from belief, but how we can experience that divine reality, how we can understand ourselves, how we can understand the universe, how we can understand the divine presence that pervades all. I think that is becoming the greater concern of human beings. I think it has always been the greater concern of human beings, but there's always such stress from political, economic, social concerns that tends to suppress that. But now, as all these different cultures are coming together and communicating, then we realize certain common human essence and common spiritual essence that's not limited to one group only. And then we bring in pluralism. We have pluralism or choice in what we eat and who we vote for. We don't have to only vote for one person, fortunately. And yet, in the spiritual realm, sometimes we think we have to stick with one thing only, when what we need to do is understand ourselves and understand what is appropriate for us, our time, our circumstances, and for the world around us.
So the search, even before one can go out into the community, begins from the self.
Yes.
And this is the part of us which we take for granted or negate or don't even look at. In the exterior, we kind of do ourselves up. But what are we doing internally to grow? So how does one start on the path of understanding the self?
Yes, it's a very good question. The most important thing in our lives, the most important search is the search for our own inner being or true nature. Now we look out in the world through our senses and we see many, many different things. And to do anything in the external world, we have to investigate. You can't just believe that what's in the package of the food is what it is, it's right for you. You can't just believe that what the world is showing us as this or that is true. If you want the right job, you have to search, investigate, find out what really works for you, what is really out there. But we don't investigate within. We accept what our society, our family has told us who we are, what we can do. There is an even greater universe inside yourself than outside yourself. You have tremendous capacities inwardly. We don't access those because we don't take the time to look within. Our vision is trapped or caught in these external colors, and we don't look inward to the light of life and consciousness coming from within us. If we can do that, we can discover the entire universe and all of its capacities inside of ourselves. That's the beauty of these Vedic teachings like the Upanishads, Chandogya. The entire universe dwells within the small space within your own heart. Going there, you can find everything, but we need to turn within, which means turn the mind, the prana, the senses within, and look to the origins of our thoughts and our identity. We don't need to give up the external world. We can go out and do that also. But we need to have that clarity and power of focus to be able to look within also. If we can look within, we can also look without with greater clarity and focus as well.
Vedantic tradition of saying, ask the questions.
Yes.
Ask the questions for yourself.
Yes.
I think that is very critical to self-growth.
And asking fundamental questions, not just simply outer questions. Who am I? What is the essence of being? What is reality? And not look for a conceptual answer. We need to explore how we are already experiencing life. Who do we believe that we are? Why do we believe that we are that person? Don't we have other capacities? You can read a book about an ancient time and you can put your mind there and forget about the modern world. You can see science fiction and go into the future. You've changed from a child. You'll be different in old age. What is the essence of being there? There is a continuity that you can search out.
Okay. Our lives at this level are lived primarily at a sensory level.
Yes.
The senses, the five senses that we have. So the senses are also in many studies known to have taken away from the core.
Yes.
So are senses taking us away from how we understand ourselves, or are they also a route to understanding ourselves?
It depends on how we use our senses. Our senses are also pranas. They're also bringing in energy to us. How are we using our senses? And in this regard, it's important that we also connect our senses with nature, that we use our senses for contemplative purposes, the sky, the sunset, the river, the mountain. The senses have that capacity to expand our awareness if we use them with consciousness. But if we get caught up in just mass stimulation of entertainment, the quality of rajas comes up, we get disturbed, agitated, and it dulls the senses. Modern people, our senses are often quite dull because we're used to sensory stimulation from the outside. People who live in nature, the senses become more subtle. The artist, the senses become more subtle. And that way, the senses, the outer senses can be doorways to the inner senses, and the inner eye, the inner ear open, and then we can begin to experience the greater universe of consciousness.
Okay. So in our daily routine, Dr. Frawley, wanting to give this a more real context so that people can at least start, so that we can at least start and understand ourselves, how do we sharpen our senses by seeing the space within and catching those spaces in our routine?
Yes. Well, first of all, we need to start our day with consciousness. We need to start our day with a positive intention, a focus, a mantra, a pranayama, an affirmation of what we're going to do, to bring our deeper consciousness into it. Because there are certain points in time that bring about transformation. So the first thing of the day, clearing our mind, focusing our mind, is very important. If we wait an hour or two, as I tell people, the train has already left the station.
Okay.
We cannot make the changes. And then during the day, we do not have to give our full awareness to outer things. When you're driving a car, you don't have to give 100% of your attention to driving a car. Hold a certain inner dimension in what you do. Observe, see, be sensitive, be internalized, be the witness. And in that process, learn to observe life, learn to understand, and you will see many, many things will magically unfold for you. We can hold a certain awareness in the heart even when we're acting externally. They say it's like a mother going to work. She's always remembering her child even though she's doing her work, and we can function very well with that awareness.
Okay. I love the way you bring in this witness, the sakshi.
Yes.
And I think that's the ultimate state, to be able to watch yourself while you're doing that. I'm going to try and understand from you in the second part of our program as to how do we learn to be the sakshi, yet carry on our duties. That could mean loving somebody, getting angry with somebody, all human emotions that naturally arise. And how does the witness then help us understand where am I and where is the emotion? Well, right now we'll take a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're in conversation with Dr. David Frawley, well-known Vedic scholar. Dr. Frawley, the sakshi or the witness, we have to cultivate him or her, we have to allow it to be with us, and yet we always can't be observing because we have so many emotions that come into us. How do we get this balance?
Well, first of all, we give up our self-image. We stop thinking about ourselves in the context. To be the observer is not to be scrutinizing others, it's just be aware and sensitive as to what is going on around you, being concerned, being caring, being the one who is present there at that particular moment. Now, to do that today, you need a power of attention. You need to be able to have steady focus. And one of the main problems we have today is our attention is all over the place, moving at every second. So we need to cultivate that attention in some way, meditation, dharana, a mantra, trataka, a gaze. We need to be able to hold it. In fact, usually holding our attention somewhere during the day, the third eye, the heart, just having a certain connection to that point will also help us maintain that. And as witnessing, we are not judging. We are not opinionated about what is going on. In fact, we are moving into the flow of what is happening as opposed to being caught up in the flow itself. We are like the entire flow when that occurs, and we recognize the organic wholeness of life rather than we're struggling to present our point of view only.
So that means if I get angry and I can watch myself getting angry, then I don't become the anger. I know when to stop, when to move out and say, the purpose is served, I think I need to move out.
We have to be very honest with ourselves. If I'm angry, I have to recognize that I am angry. People talk today about detachment, and there's a lot of confusion about it. Detachment begins with detached observation. If I am angry, I accept the fact I'm angry. I don't say, I'm not angry, I'm going to be detached from that anger. You can't do that. We have to just be honest and observe who we are and what does that anger mean? Where does it come from? What does it do? What does it do to me? What does it do to other people? And then remember, the emotion is like just carrying prana. Let that prana go. You cannot suppress, you cannot destroy that emotion, but that energy can be transformed. And what is behind it? Sometimes there is something in our lives we need to address. What is the wisdom? What is the message? Do not fight with it. Let it have its space, let it have its flow, be honest with it. See if you've been cultivating that anger in your thoughts. Maybe at night you were thinking, oh, I'm mad at that person, they did this to me. You brood with that anger, and then at some point that anger arises later on.
So the purpose of this human birth,
Yes.
again, questioned by so many,
Yes.
but this human form by
Yes.
itself is limited yet unlimited.
Yes.
So what does the Vedanta talk about? What is the purpose of taking human form?
Well, first of all, we need to understand who we are and what has taken the human form. Outwardly, we have this human form. We work with it, we move through it. Every day we go to sleep, we forget about the human form, we get up in the morning, and then we start off again where we left off the previous day. So we are also witnessing the human form. You'll notice that at whatever most difficult period of life you had, whatever most happy thing that happened to you, there was always something inside of you that felt that this is not totally real. There's something more, there's something different. So we have an inner essence of being or consciousness that is working with the human mind and the human body. But that itself can also identify with the animals, with the plants, with the mountains, with the sky. So we need to be aware of our human nature, but use it to develop an inner sensitivity and not get caught into it as all that we are. We are all that we see. The body is an instrument, but we are also more than the instrument, and the instrument can be used in various ways.
You are a professor of Vedic Astrology. So, an astrology at one level in our heads tells us that, there is something called destiny, your stars are mapped out,
Yes?
and your future is decided. So, where then is this about creating our own future and saying, oh, it's already mapped out?
Well, first of all, astrology and Vedic teachings don't teach us that everything is mapped out.
Okay.
Karma doesn't mean destiny. Karma means something you've done. And everything you do has a consequence. And actually, karma means that we are free to create our own destiny. But there are certain qualifications of that. One, we create our own destiny in the field of time. That means who we are today is influenced by what we were yesterday, and who we are today is shaping who we will be tomorrow. Also, karma is functioning in the field of dharma or natural law. You're free to put your hand into a fire or not, but you're not free to put your hand into a fire and not get burnt. See, we have to understand dharma. So we have freedom. At the same time, we have to be aware of the universe in which we live and the forces we are setting in motion. Sometimes we think we're setting in motion one force and it is another. Sometimes we create a relationship and then we have a lot of negative thoughts and then we destroy the relationship. See, what are we actually putting in motion? Sometimes we say, I want to create a better future for myself, and then I won't let go of my past and its sorrow and its negativity. How can you create a better future if you don't let go of a negative past? So all of Vedic thought is about teaching us to manage our karma in the best possible way and ultimately to transcend our karma. Our inner being is always beyond karma. Consciousness has no karma. Karma belongs to body and mind. There's always a karma in the outer world we have to adjust to. But in the inner world we can move beyond karma, we can witness karma, we can hold to a deeper awareness. And we should also understand that we want to shape a better destiny, a better world for everyone. So action should not be a selfish or a self-centered thing. It should be a way of uplifting the world.
So that means we are always creating karma, because everything has a ripple effect.
Yes, we're always having an effect, but that effect can be positive, that effect can be negative, that effect can help liberate others, or that effect can help keep people in bondage. If everything was negative karma, no guru would need to speak, no guru could say anything, no teaching would need to be made. Why are there so many sadhanas? It's because we can change, we can make a difference. Why is there seva? There's so much we can do. There's so much we can do to improve ourselves and improve the world. Most of the time we get caught in our own. We're worried about ourselves, we're worried about our money, we're worried about our job, our relationship, which makes it worse, which makes it more limited. But if we accept that beneficence, if we develop that attitude of sharing, giving, recognizing the sacred, elevating people, bringing out their deeper essence, then everything can change, everything will change.
So karma, whether good or bad, it's also said that we have to always come back to reap it, even if it's good. So you might just come back to reap all the good karma that you've done. And everything that we're doing is creating more karma. So is there no moksha?
Moksha is always there. The karma is in the outer field of the body and the mind. The realm of action is in time and space. The witness is not in time and space. Just as you can witness the changes in your body without losing yourself, you can also witness the changes in your karma without losing yourself. We are observing karma, but that karma does not have to drag our awareness down. We can use our awareness to elevate the action that is going on around us. And if we have a deeper awareness, we know when to act and when not to act. And mostly we're acting at the wrong time, or we're trying to do too much. We're not waiting for the right moment, the right timing, where we can help facilitate transformation.
Dr. Frawley, this sense of right and wrong, all of us struggle through our lives because what is right for one person may not work for the other. How loyal are you? How good a friend are you? How right are you? How wrong? And you said move away from judgment. But the truth is that in reality, we constantly have to have some point of reference which guides at least most of our actions. How do we do that? Well,
first of all, I say move away from this external judgment. We need to cultivate the viveka, or the discrimination. We need to understand the nature of things. Fire burns, water is wet, that's easy. But different people have different capacities. You have to know your own capacity. A horse is very good for running races. A squirrel can climb a tree much better than a horse. We need to understand our individual capacities and do what is our appropriate dharma, not only for ourselves, but also for everyone. So the problem is not understanding the nature of things. We try to get people to do what they don't want to do, what's not right for them to do. We try to impose ourselves upon others, or we try to live up to some standard that other people are trying to put upon us. We need to understand how the nature works. Ayurveda teaches us how to understand our mind-body type, so we know the appropriate food, diet, exercise for ourselves. Yoga, you need to find the right path. Maybe your temperament is more devotional. Maybe it's more towards Devi, maybe it's in some other direction, maybe it's more towards pranama. You need to know those things, and these change over time. We do different things in the morning than in the evening. We put on a warm coat in the winter, we don't put the warm coat on in the summer. We need to understand the rhythms of our nature, and we need to observe other people so we can understand what do they really need, not what do we want them to do for our own particular benefit.
So the observer again coming in. You're even watching other people, so that makes you more sensitive to them. And,
but not
judging.
Yeah, but observing them, being with them, sharing a common consciousness with them, seeing how they live. For example, when clients come into us, when somebody sees me, they want some advice, I have to observe them and find, who are you? What are you doing? What are you seeking? What most moves you? I'm not going to just give you a plan. And then once we have a rapport, develop some recommendations, then we have them follow some practices and then come back. How does that work for you? How is your life changing? You need to be the master of your own life. And you can be. Your inner awareness is the master of the entire universe. But we need to contact that. We need to share that. We need to bring that to other people. And we need to create a context where that can come forth.
That's so beautiful, Dr. Frawley, that you need to be the master of your own life. And anybody who's helping you understand cannot take ownership for your life. Because very often we say, this is my problem, take it and help me solve it.
If someone solves your problem, then they become your problem. Or you become their problem. See? And we're not going to save anybody. See? We can teach, we can guide, we can help. But each human being is sacred. Each human being is divine. Each human being has the capacity of the entire universe. It's not like we're on high and we're going to raise you from below. Rather, we're sharing a universal presence. Everybody is welcome there. Everybody is already there. We just need to create the space for everyone to enter into that. Because in our outer lives, we have to do all these practical things that get us caught in little movements in time and space. But at the end of the day, we need to remember that our true essence is beyond time and space. We are visitors, guests, pilgrims in this world. We are here to make the world better. We are also here to help the universe enhance our own inner growth, but we are part of a greater journey, a greater transformation. We are part of the universal transformation that's going on at every second. We need to share in that. We need to bring that into human culture. And we need to let that inner power transform our lives with grace and beauty and dignity. And we need to learn how to let go and let that divine being work within us. You don't know how your food is digested. If you try to interfere, your digestion is going to get bad. So in our inner consciousness, we need to surrender to that deeper awareness, and that will guide our lives. That is what we need to do. Not tempting to do too much, but being willing to go to the essence.
Faith and fear, the
Yes.
two F's that play a very predominant role in our lives.
Yes.
And yet, faith, the one that is actually going to help us go through this,
Yes.
when it comes to us, we question it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But fear, when it comes to us, we accept it so naturally.
Yes. Yes.
How do we handle fear?
Well, first of all, fear is the root of the mind. Fear is the basis of the mind. Fear is the most primary emotion. Fear comes into being when we feel ourselves separate, when we feel ourselves alone, when that ego identity comes in. Fear is the first manifestation. So to deal with fear, we have to first of all recognize that we are not alone, that we are in, I say, a user-friendly universe, a universe that is our own family. We are here of our own awareness, our own choice. So there's a beneficence and a grace to existence that is always present for us. We need to open up to that, and we need to let go of our human conditioning, because as children we're always conditioned by fear. People use fear to condition and to control us. That is what human beings have done, but it's not as what nature or the universe has done. That universe has given us that deeper awareness and potential. And we have to understand the nature of faith. We're not having faith in someone or something or some idea or this or that. We're having faith in ourselves. We're having faith in the nature of reality. We're having faith that there is a divine presence, bliss, beneficence behind the whole of life that anyone can access if we are aware, receptive, and sensitive. And we need to have faith in our higher purpose. We need to recognize there are certain limitations in this physical reality, because the physical reality is a limited reality. What is going on here is not the last word. It is just an episode in a very, very long play and drama. We do our role in this particular drama, but we also realize that our true being is beyond. And the true being of each person we see is also beyond these existing limitations, is part of this greater cosmic presence and capacity. The entire universe is present in each one and in each thing. You are the whole. Each part is the whole. Everyone is the whole. That fullness is overflowing. And we can accept that awareness and function even better in the world, because then we have the space, the freedom, the peace to make proper judgments and to be kind to everybody.
And nature and spirit only work with abundance, never with scarcity.
Yes, and nature and spirit are one. We live in one great ocean of consciousness. We are different waves on that sea. We are different currents on that sea. But we share the same common being and presence. And we are all united at the level of the heart. Again, mind and body are different, but the level of the heart, we have a common nature, a common feeling. We can all go back to that exists before words, that exists before language, that exists before human beings have make boundaries of territory and possession. That is common to everyone, but is also common to all of life, and it is the nature of the universe itself.
And this construct of seconds and time and hours and years is a construct. Time is a construct.
It's an outer construct. You see, we are always in the presence, witnessing time. But in the presence, as we witness time, we get caught up in time just as we get caught up in the movie. But you do not go anywhere. The outer images go somewhere. Our inner being doesn't go somewhere. The body changes. In fact, we don't see ourselves. What you see in the mirror is an image of your body. Your inner self is something more, as you know. The body changes, But that inner self, like space, is there in everything and can be contacted everywhere.
Dr. Frawley, is birth by choice?
Is birth by choice? Well, who is the one who chooses? See, birth is reflecting certain forces that we've set in motion. You know, whenever you do something, a certain force is set in motion that brings about certain consequences. There's affinity of energies. Like, do two magnets choose to come together? See, it's the magnetic force that draws them together. So we've set in motion certain forces, and these forces draw us into a particular birth, a particular culture, a particular role, but we can also adapt and adjust these forces for a greater enhancement of our lives, for whatever we wish to achieve.
And what's the role of astrology in our lives?
Astrology is a helpful guide in dealing with forces and energies. For example, you do something different in the morning than you do in the evening. There's changes of seasons. So too, there are different planetary periods, different energies in one's life in which certain things may be more appropriate than others. So it helps us understand the rhythms of our lives. We are not machines. We are not totally predictable entities. Our life is not mapped out and we're not going there mechanically. But we have set certain forces in motion. Some are very difficult to change. Some can be changed. But we need to be aware of these forces. Astrology helps us understand the subtle energy currents of time, karma, and prana within ourselves and within the world, so that we can adjust to these and we can bring in the greatest possibility for what we are doing.
You're a scholar of teaching in the Vedic tradition.
Yes.
And one of the most renowned master exponents of this. And how were you taught as a student? What's the difference in the two forms of teaching?
Well, first of all, we talk about scholar, we think of books. No. In Vedic teaching, you have to learn through yourself, through nature, through consciousness. There are certain books and teachings that are important. A lot of it's important is dialogue with the teacher. Also memorizing the core teaching and living with it, meditating upon it, taking time with it. So it is a movement with life, a movement with consciousness, and you need to understand the teaching from the inside, not from the outside. So in some respects you can compare it with art. You have to have the inspiration to work with the tools of creativity. So too we need that inner inspiration in consciousness in order to work with the Vedic teachings and share them, and again recognize it is ourselves. The Atma is you and I. It's not somebody else. See, these teachings belong to us. They are part of our own nature. They are universal. They are something that is relevant to everyone at all times and all places. So you embrace them from the inside, and the great teachers embrace them from the inside, and they help you think, inquire, understand, decide for yourself, see for yourself. We are not concerned with giving you one concept or one idea or one belief, but how you can understand who you really are, what is the nature of the universe, and the marvelous beauty, bliss, happiness, transcendence that is always here, and that is our heritage in being alive.
You earlier spoke about focus, and it's so important, that concentration, because that helps you be in the now.
Yes.
And I think one of the biggest challenges to focus is the emergence of thoughts.
Yes.
How does one manage that?
Thoughts are always there. Okay. You're breathing all the time. Senses are moving all the time. So we hold our awareness within, let the thought be. You don't fight with the thought. Okay. And then cultivate your own stream of thoughts, which is the inner search. Not only who am I, what is the nature of reality, why is this happening? You need to create your own inner flow that is taking you within. You can energize the mantra with that also. That's a very good tool for that particular purpose. Learn to be conscious and guide your stream of thoughts, and learn to observe your thoughts. And it's also important to remember mostly the thoughts are not yours. And almost all your thoughts are of no relevance or value at all. There's only a few thoughts that are important.
True. So Dr. Frawley, then the challenge is, this bit about we are so acquisitive by nature. Other than material stuff, we also keep thoughts and we acquire them. This art of letting go, how does one cultivate that?
Well, there's certain thoughts we need, there's certain principles and things that we need, but we cannot hold on to anything. And if you want to be aware in the present, your mind cannot be hidden in the past. And most of our psychological problems, of course, are all caught up in the past. And a lot of they exist because we're caught up in the past. As long as you're caught up in the past, you'll have psychological problems. If you let go of that past, the problems will go away. There's no one telling you you have to hold on to the past. You're the one who is doing that. You've cultivated that frame of mind. So learn to cultivate a different frame of mind. Learn to cultivate a deeper devotion, inspiration, inquiry, and let that dominate your field of thought. Your field of thoughts will change. And realize you don't have to worry about yourself. Worry is actually a very negative thing. It actually weakens us. What we need to do is have a positive energy for developing greater awareness and wholeness for ourselves and for others. Let your own creativity come forth and let that unfold what it wishes.
I need to take another break,
Okay.
so we will let go of this chunk.
Okay.
We take a break, you stay with us. Welcome back. We are still in conversation with Vedic scholar Dr. David Frawley. Dr. Frawley, we all have this need to be understood, and that somewhere validates a part of us. But very often, I think most relationships become topsy-turvy when we say, I don't think you understand me. What is this deep desire to be understood by the other person?
Well, we want to be recognized for who we are. That is what we are seeking and understanding. We want someone to acknowledge we are there. This is what we are. We may be different. We have our points of view. We need to be honored as an individual human being with certain capacities. And we need to be regarded as sacred. We need to be regarded as important in our own right rather than for something we do or for something that we own. And we want to feel a sense of harmony with the other person, that we are in sync, we are in harmony with one another. So we are all seeking that, and it's a very important thing. But to be understood, we need to be understanding, see? And we need to be understanding of the whole of life, not just simply the other person. And we need to have a common space of understanding in which we live and share that with people.
Your vision for a world. I know there's a consciousness and connecting everybody, but what is your vision for a world?
For the world?
Yes.
Well, you know, we're in this tremendous time of crisis all over the world, whether it's because of resources or overpopulation or technology or disruption of the ecology. We can look at it from many, many different points of view, but we are in a state of great crisis as in humanity. And a lot of it is because we are not coming together as in humanity. We are still projecting our different. I come from the United States, and of course we're still trying to control the world as if we were the British Empire, even though the age of empires is supposedly over. So we are at this challenge because we need to develop a greater sense of not only humanity, but the earth and the universe as a whole. We are no longer in the medieval era where we can be defined by local boundaries. We all know the entire planet. We know there's life on other planets beyond. We know that consciousness and intelligence doesn't just belong to human beings. In fact, what the Vedas teach us is that consciousness is universal. It pervades all things. We confused mind, which is a creaturely phenomenon, with consciousness, which is a universal presence. So we need to move beyond those creaturely limitations to that sense of the universal presence. At the same time, we need to manage our creaturely needs in the proper way. And the key to do that is, again, to have a sense of the sacred nature of all life. We cannot just exploit the earth for what the benefits she can give our technology to us as human beings. We have to honor all beings as sacred. That's the meaning of the yajna in the Vedic sense. And we also have to give each creature its space. We cannot weigh ourselves over all the other species. And we need to honor the organic nature of life, the organic nature of the universe. And we have to recognize that we ourselves cannot have personal happiness, even social, family, national happiness, if the planet, the creatures, the world as a whole is in a state of disharmony. Well-being is in common or it is not at all. At the same time, we need to affirm our deeper spiritual values and lifestyle practices, even in the face of all the technology and the media and the events around us socially and politically. We can function in the world with all of its new technology and maintain a higher awareness. But to do that, we have to take the time to do so. We have to create the space to do so. We have to do retreats, meditation, satsangs, all these things. We need to sustain that deeper culture and learn to weave it through the media culture. It's not going to go away, but we can use it in a better way, and we can also let it not dominate us.
Okay.
We have to learn to use it as a tool where we remember our own inner being, where we're not just moved by the outside. And we shouldn't have too many buttons for the outer world to push. Things happen in the outer world, let's try to understand them first rather than to just simply react.
True.
Recognize the other person also has the same concerns that we do. But I will have to say, in the India context, it's very important that in India these traditional spiritual teachings are maintained because they don't exist in the same degree in the rest of the world. They're there to some degree, but also it's because that's what people come here for and would like to learn and to share. So I think India should preserve these spiritual heritage, Vedic, I mean there's many others, the Buddhists, many things have come out of this country, but that essence of consciousness and awareness is behind them. And I think this country could benefit through bringing more of that deeper awareness and the greater sense of Dharma that goes with it, and recognize the responsibility to bring that into the world as a whole, rather than just imitate the other countries.
Right. So we have an advantage, and let's understand that advantage and use that. But Dr. David Frawley, thank you so much for coming on to our show, sharing your insights and wisdom with us. We wish you all the best. Thank you for your sheer presence here.
Thank you. You've been very wonderful, very kind. And I feel you're bringing a great service to everyone with your wonderful program.
Thank you so much.